Module 1, right? A quick recap of workshop 1 that we had yesterday. Right, so yesterday we started off with asking what is Tao Te Ching. So I've said yesterday that the Tao Te Ching is not a book of rigid rules, nor is it a philosophy that demands blind belief. Instead, it is a collection of 81 short verses, very simple, very chaotic, yet very profound. Right, and that 81 short verses actually reveals the three important things. Number one is the nature of existence. What is life really about? Number two, the concept of the Tao. That means the invisible, ever-flowing force that shapes the universe. And number three, the principles of living in harmony with the Tao. Basically meaning how to stop resisting and start flowing effortlessly with life. Tao Te Ching is not written, just take note, it's not written to give you more knowledge. It was written to undo what you think you know. So as we dive in, I invite you to unlearn, okay, to let go of rigid thinking and to experience the Tao for yourself. Then yesterday, we also talked about many people believe that knowledge and wisdom only have value if they can be articulated in clear written language. But then yesterday we also discovered that the most profound truth often exists beyond words. The Tao is often referred to as the source code of existence. That means the root origin of everything. Seriously, everything. And then we went about to talk about symbols, where symbols have been used to communicate the complex concept that words often fail to convey. So, for example, this phrase called 一画开天, loosely translated is called the one stroke opens up heaven and earth, illustrate how a single symbol, just that one stroke, can encapsulate the creation of the universe where yin and yang emerge. And then from there, practitioners, even up to today, often rely on various forms of 相 symbols, 相 such as 天相, 人相, 地相, 卦相. So that is where things get a little bit tricky. Over obsessing with these kind of symbols can actually impede our progress and breakthroughs. So when we become too fixated on the representation, we can lose sight of the deeper meanings and truth they embody. So while symbols are powerful tools for communication, the real challenge lies in using them wisely without getting trapped in them. So that's why Lao Tzu wrote the Tao Te Ching as a soft reset. In Chinese, called 破相立道. Basically, 破相 basically means is to break the obsession with 相. And then 立道 means is to re-establish the true Tao. He wanted people to unlearn the rigid structure and reawaken to the Tao in its purest form. Something beyond words, something beyond symbols, and something beyond formulas. And here's the real question. So are you here to collect more 相, or are you ready to experience the Tao for yourself? So this is what we covered yesterday. And then with that, we zoom in onto the first line of the Tao Te Ching, which is 道可道, 非常道. So this line has confused scholars, mystics, and seekers for over 2,000 over years. And maybe it's simpler than we think. Okay, but if only we dare to shift our mindset. So yesterday, we broke it apart. We say that 道可道 means if Tao can be spoken or verbalized, then that's not the entire Tao. So basically, this is the meaning of 道可道, 非常道. Or it's not the eternal Tao. Eternal Tao basically means that's the entire Tao. The whole Tao, the whole truth. So if it can be verbalized, then it is not the entire Tao, not the whole picture, not the real deal. Most of us were trained to look for truth in words. So in schools, in books, in quotes, in all sorts of things. But Lao Tzu opened his book by saying, warning, The moment you try to package truth into words, you have already shrunk it. We talked about that yesterday. Yeah. So words are also symbols. At best, they point to the Tao, but they are not the Tao itself. So it's like mistaking the menu for the meal. I talked about that yesterday. Okay. So when you cling too tightly to the description, you miss the direct experience. And when you obsess over the xiang, xiang basically can mean form, appearance, symbol, and whatnot. Right? So when you obsess over the xiang, you forget the Tao. The Tao basically means it's a source. Okay. And it's the essence. And so what's the right way forward? It is not to reject the words, but to use them like Lao Tzu did as a compass, right? Not a cage. So let this be your mantra. I mentioned this mantra yesterday. Let me repeat this mantra again today. The mantra is, what I hear today is just a finger pointing to the moon. I will not mistake the finger for the moon itself. So carry on this mantra for all the subsequent Tao Te Ching workshop and all the other metaphysics subject that you're learning from me. Carry this. Okay, carry this mantra along. If it's asking, but master, you also teach us symbolism, yet 破相立道. Sorry, please enlighten. Thanks. All right. Now, when I say 破相立道, that is Lao Tzu's intention. Okay. But that doesn't mean that we should totally abandon xiang. You get my point? Lao Tzu is trying to say, yes, you can use xiang, but do not be over obsessed. The word is over obsessed. It's just like you can be superstition, but do not be over superstition. It's just like you can believe in Tao, in feng shui, in eating divination, in whatever, but do not be over believing. So the keyword is over obsessive. You get that, If? So that is why every time when I start a class, I always give you my first house rule, right? Don't believe a thing I say. The moment you get over obsessed with what I say, then you miss the whole point already. Is that okay, If? All right, middle path. Yeah, middle path. So basically, middle path, if I may put it, it can also mean that you test it out for yourself. If it doesn't work, feel free to throw it out. If it works, then you become your experience. So to me, this is called the middle path. You test it out for yourself. Yeah. That's where my house rule number 2 comes in. Learn with a growth mindset. Okay, then yesterday, okay, Darren said it's true. Then why after 乾卦 the 对 trigram flow, the hint comes from there. All right, very good. Thank you. Okay, so we also examined the second line of Tao Te Ching in chapter 1 yesterday. And then it says that 名可名,非常名. So we live in a world obsessed with labels. For example, yesterday I think I talked about what's your job title. Are you introvert or extrovert? Are you successful or not? Okay, so Lao Tzu point out this trap. Once we name something, we unconsciously limit it. So we string the infinite into a box we can manage. Right? So yesterday I also shared this out. So when you call someone lazy, you have stopped seeing their potential to change already. Right? So Lao Tzu is inviting us to loosen our grip. He's saying whatever you can describe about the Tao, it is not the full entire Tao. Whatever you can name, that name can never capture is eternal. I mean the true, the full essence of that thing that you have given it a name. Okay, so this is again, Lao Tzu is reminding us this is the limit of labels. They can only point you towards the experience, but they can never replace it. You can hear 100 people talk about the Tao. You can memorize all 81 chapters of the Tao Te Ching, but until you live it, until you feel the rhythm of Tao in your breath, in your body, in your livelihood, you are still standing outside. Yesterday I talked about the mango. You're still standing outside that mango. Lao Tzu saw this danger. Okay. Now, then we move on in chapter 1, not in chapter 1, in module 1 to talk about 有无. So most people assume that once they understand yin and yang, they have cracked the code of ancient Chinese wisdom. But in Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu introduces something very subtle, very primal. It's called you and wu. So in I Ching, we start with yin yang, right? Two complementary forces in constant flux. And this yin and yang give birth to change, movement, transformation. That one we call the Yi Zimen, the door of change. But in Tao Te Ching, Lao Tzu didn't begin with yin yang. It began with you and wu, meaning existence and non-existence. Or that these two form the foundation before form, before polarity. I mean before yin yang lah. Okay, so if you think about yin yang as describing how the world works, then you wu is how things exist. Okay, so is about what is seen and unseen, form and formless, known and unknowable. So yin yang and wu you, they are not the same. If say Tao teaches us nothing is absolute, told us to be open, but Tao itself is absolute, please advise Tao. Okay, a very good question. Very question. Now Tao is telling us nothing is absolute. Okay, but remember there's something called the changing and unchanging part. Okay, so the unchanging part is where the what do you call that, the universal principles operates. We cannot have today gravity, tomorrow no gravity. We can't live. Nobody can survive in a dimension whereby today got gravity, tomorrow got no gravity. You get my point? If so, there must be some unchanging absolute law that operates so that we can continue surviving in this kind of dimension. Now, what is not absolute is the changing part. And the changing part is where I Ching comes in very handy, because I Ching deals with those changes. How to spot those changes, how to spot those shifts. I Ching is the best way to use to look at changes. Yeah. So therefore, if I may to answer your question in a very short way, Tao itself is absolute, okay, plus not absolute. Like I say, changing plus unchanging. Observable plus unobservable. You and wu. You get my point? If I feel this is a very good question, yeah. So yeah, 常有 and 常无. This is what we talk about in module 1 also. 常有 is all meaning always in a state of desire or in a state of having. So when we are in a 常有, we are looking at the world through wants, labels, and expectation. Right? So what the Tao Te Ching call it is called 观其教. 常有欲以观其教. 教, yesterday I explained, is called the boundary. So when we stand from the standpoint of existence, we only see the limitation, the boundaries, and for what it is. So this is how most of us live. Like for example, say that, oh, this is a mango, or this is a pretty woman, or this is a good life, But remember, these are only appearance. Most people only live in the 常有 dimension, obsessed with what they can see, touch, buy, or own. Right? So what we want actually is to connect to the Tao. And to connect to the Tao, we must also enter the space of 常无. 常无 basically means is to let go of the desire to label, possess, and control. And then when you do that, suddenly you begin to see what others cannot see. Yesterday, I showed you an example of the tree stump. Most of us only see tree stump, right? But that is when you stand from the standpoint of existence, then you only see what it is for what it is. But the moment you step back into the realm of non-existent, then you start to see, oh, this can be made into, all sorts of possibilities, the potential, the infinite potential of that tree stump. That is standing from the standpoint of 常无. Okay, so you will see the 妙. Okay, 妙. Miao basically means the mystery, the magic behind all existence, and the potential. And just to note that we are actually, dancing between this 常无常有常无常有, right? So knowing when to see the form and knowing when to feel the formless. Like I say yesterday, I think when a curveball hits you, instead of asking yourself, why is this happening to me? If you're asking in this manner, then you are standing from the point of assistance to look at the problem. Then your solutions are very limited. So when you step back and go to the dimension of non-assistant, then you ask yourself, why is this happening for me? You suddenly opens up the horizon, right? So Changwu, I think I mentioned that already, is always in a state of no desire or emptiness. So when we are in that state, we let go of attachment, we let go of labels, we let go of wants. And this is what we call 以观其妙, or it is the potential that we can get to see. Okay, so it's like seeing the wind, not just the moving leaves. If say Tao is forever stillness and changing as well, that's right. That's right. It's just like we as a human being, right? We are also stillness and changing at the same time. Nighttime when we sleep, we are stillness. Daytime when we wake up, we are always changing. Yeah, we are always in active mode. So because we are part of the Tao, that's why we behave like Tao as well. All creatures behave like Tao. So 有 is the gateway to all wonders. 众妙之门 is basically mean the gateway to all wonders. So recognizing that the universe is not just a collection of isolated events or things, it is an interconnected web of experience and lessons, all stemming from the same source called Chang Wu. So when we become aware of this interconnectedness, we open ourselves to a world of infinite possibilities. So I encourage you, look beyond the surface, seek that higher perspective, that Chang Wu perspective, find the wonder in the ordinary, right? And every moment is an opportunity to discover the extraordinary in the everyday. And this is called the 玄之又玄. Then we zoom in. I think towards the end of module workshop 1, then we zoom into Yo, right? So we say that Yo is often the source of our pains and worries. So when we focus solely on what we have or don't have, we actually step into the world of competition and comparison. So we begin to measure our worth by status, by possessions, or by achievements. So we chase after things that can easily slip through our fingers. We start to feel less than, lacking, or even jealous of others. But Lao Tzu teaches us to look beyond this surface level. Right? So true wisdom is recognizing that the chase for more can lead us to pain. Recognize that. The endless quest for more is often what keeps us trapped in anxiety, in frustration, and in discontent. So instead of measuring our life by what we see and possess, we must learn to find value in the unseen, in the potential, in the Tao, and in the Changwu. Then, Lao Tzu saw this thousands of years ago. In chapter 2, he warned us that when people define what is good, then bad happens. Remember that? The trap of dualities. So when we set standards and labels, we start comparing, judging, competing, and suffering. So here's what Lao Tzu is really inviting us to see. Don't blindly subscribe to man-made standards. They do not define you. Tao does. So when we stop measuring ourselves against someone else's rulers, we return to our own nature. Not beautiful, not ugly, okay? Not elite, not low class, just your authentic you. So next time you feel you are not good enough, then ask yourself this, who set the standard? Was it other people or was it you who set the standard? Then once you recognize that, make a choice. Make that choice to unsubscribe, to unbecome, and to unlabel yourself. right? Because in Tao, you are who you are, no label needed. Right, and then we talk about the 4 major causes why society can be so chaotic, and that's where we ended here in workshop 1. Okay, and with this we can move on to module 2.